Well, I said on the Facebook page for this reading that I was going to come and read a couple poems about Tacoma in honor of Robert. In my mind, Robert is kind of connected with James Joyce, because if you'll recall, James Joyce got the hell out of Dublin and then went to Paris to write about how crappy Dublin was. And Robert's sort of like that if you substitute Bellingham for Paris, which is an analogy that kind of works. Anyhow, the first poem that I want to read is not by me, it's by Karen Havner. She is my dear friend and landlady, and this is her first published book, which came out a year and a half ago at the age of 80. Karen was a social worker and a theater maven, and she studied poetry with Nelson Bentley in the 80s in Seattle. Anyhow, this first poem is entitled Nativity House. This poem was written about 30 years ago. Nativity House was the soup kitchen on Commerce Avenue in downtown Tacoma between 11th and 13th that was located in a rat-infested brick warehouse, which was razed to the ground at the beginning of the last century to make a huge Marriott complex. Nativity House. Friday never happened. The mother-to-be wasn't here in the office and didn't say she was suffering from gangrene because her too tight shoes had cut into her feet. Her baby was born this weekend. Here in the storefront chapel, an October sky stuck glumly to the window, the fan above the door humming with an animal constancy, we pray for the baby. Wrapped in a blanket, a tea towel tied about his head, his brown hair sprouting out at odd angles, Ernie scolds himself. You pay attention to what's going on, you son of a bitch! Brother, says Father Gary gently, you'll have to be quiet. Chosen to assist with Mass, Jesse, a diminutive fellow who on the streets defends himself with improbable tales of his own prowess, places the sacred cup where he knows it goes. His duties fill his clothes with joy. Now I'd like to read one of mine. This poem also references Nativity House. After it got torn down, it moved up the street to 23rd and Jefferson, where it was a daytime drop-in center for the homeless in a modern one-story building in the middle of the industrial district. This was about in 2008. Now, actually, Nativity House is a huge multi-million-dollar complex that has apartments for the homeless on 14th and Yakima, right next to the Catholic Community Center. Anyhow, step away from the mic for this one. I'll be like the other guys. Okay. All right, I'm cool now. This is called How the Hobos Dine Under Mount Tahoma. Catch Michael of Operation Keep 'em Warm and Fed in front of the library before 7:30 for a wake-up coffee and day-old pastry. Breakfast at 9 at Hospitality Kitchen. Brunch at Nativity House. Back up to St. Leo's for lunch. They have a big flat-screen TV there now. Last time I was there, I think they were playing Jarhead. I don't know. There were guys blowing up stuff in the desert, and afterwards they were in a canteen like some scene out of the Breakfast Club. High tea at Nativity House is 3-ish. Hot dinner at the rescue mission at 5:30. Liver, tater tots, beans, macaroni and cheese, spaghetti with unidentified meat chunks, bleached bread, creamed corn, powdered eggs and bacon shards, oatmeal laced with high fructose artificially enhanced maple-flavored syrup, and thousands of stale but tasty donuts. For a midnight snack, there's always the lucky hope of raisin bagels at the St. Leo's bread bin. Institutions know the value of the high-starch diet. You can always tell when one of the women has come back to the Ave after a stretch in the joint. They go in junkie thin and meth skinny, nothing but a bag of abscesses and bones, and come out ready for the cleanup spot on the Kiwanis women's bowling team. They call it the Purdy diet. Hell, I even gained weight on this stuff after a week at St. Joe's suicide ward. So the next time somebody at the bus stop hits you up for a couple of bucks for food, keep in mind, the only reason to go hungry in this town is because you were so fucked up on rubbing alcohol and crack that you forgot to eat. And nobody feels sorry for you because you got a bad memory.